Well, I've been wearing my Bulova Moonwatch. Actually, I guess it's the Lunar Pilot. Been wearing this for the whole week, which is unusual for me. I usually wear this maybe once a month. Had this watch for 2 or 3 years now. I didn't buy it when it was uh, first out, but a little bit after that. Um, I really like this watch. Well, I like some things of it, other things I don't like. The main thing I like about it is the history. That is a watch based on a watch that was on the moon. Um, Ever since I was a kid, I've been a space nut or a nut of history and just a big fan of space. Sorry. So you can see there on the case back, uh, Apollo 15, July 26, 1971 to August 7th, 1971, and any other information there. So a watch that this is kind of based on was on the moon. So I really like the dial on this. This is my favorite part of the watch. Just I really like the depth of it. You can see the running seconds there. I think that ticks twice per second. Also, this has the high accuracy quartz movement. Um, I don't really use the chronograph on it, but there it goes. It's a pretty smooth movement on the second hand there. Then this one here will stop spinning after 30 seconds, I believe. So we'll just let it run out here. And then once it stops running, and then you stop the chronograph from running, this will stop in whatever position that should be in. So I'll stop it here in a few seconds, and this one should move if I don't do it exactly at 0. So, yep, there it goes. And then the reset. So I don't really have a need for a chronograph, but I just like the watch and the history behind it. It looks kind of like a Speedmaster. Speedmaster, I would pretty much, I guess you call that my grail watch. I've always wanted one. It's just a lot of money to spend on a watch. So I like the crystal on this. It's a sapphire crystal. I think you call this a box crystal since it's above the bezel like that. Again, this is sapphire. So as far as the dimensions of the watch, it's 48 millimeter case diameter. Thickness, I believe, is 13.2. So my calipers here, I can measure that. Okay, that's telling me 13.4. And I'll try to measure the... Okay, so that is 45. The one of the things I don't like about this watch is the lug to lug is just gigantic on this. 53 millimeter lug to lug, and then the lug width is only 20, so it looks kind of disproportionate. And then the case size is really goofy too. It's got like this cushion or pear shape to it. Also, it has a mix of brushing and polished surfaces. I think the bezel, the case, and the bracelet are all different finishes. And then the bracelet's nice enough. It articulates nicely. And the center link does not stick out farther than the lug, so that's nice since the lugs are really long. I think I want to try and put a bracelet on this. Sorry, not a bracelet, a strap, or maybe a NATO. There's 2 different versions of this watch. There's one with the bracelet and then with the strap. At least when I bought it, I think they're on the second version now. But the lug bar placement, the pin here was different for the bracelet and for the strap version. So the clasp here is butterfly clasp, which I really don't care for. I mean, it looks nicer and all, but I don't like the adjusting, or the lack of micro adjust on this. I think it does have smaller links here, or maybe it came with smaller links. I had a heck of a time sizing this to my wrist, and actually it is a little bit loose on my wrist, but that's as close as I could get it. Maybe my wrist is a little thinner from when I originally sized it, but again, I have a 6.5 inch wrist, so this watch really is too big for my wrist. See if I can zoom out here. Gives you a better perspective or not, but so it is kind of loose, looser than I would like on my wrist. Also, it is pretty thick. I guess it's not that thick. It's the same thickness as a SKX, just a little bit different proportion. The lugs are pretty straight on that, so you can see I got a pretty good gap there, actually. So I think the lug to lug on this was 53. My wrist is. So it's pretty close to the same width as my wrist there, I guess. Oh, back on the bracelet with the butterfly clasp. Like I said before, I only usually wear this maybe one day a week, and I had it on my wrist all week. So I don't think I left a mark here, but this part of the clasp, this little bump here, was actually rubbing up on my wrist, which I didn't really notice before, wearing it just one day out of the month. That's kind of annoying, this little hump here rubbing on my wrist. And it is a heavy watch. I know I've weighed it in some other videos, but I can't remember what it is. I think it's in ounces. 6 ounces. 170 grams. I think it's slightly different every time I weigh it. So, well, 170 grams. I don't think I'm ever going to sell it, just because, again, I'm a big fan of the history of the Moon watches. I'd really like to get a Speedmaster. I think one day if I do get a Speedmaster, I would still keep this. So, anyway, that's the Bulova Lunar Pilot. Actually, I got this. Show you something kind of cool here. This here is actually a Bulova as well, so very old with very new. Yeah, maybe they're almost the same size. Put this on my wrist. Anyway, I'll get a loom shot here and we'll close out the video. Forgot to compare it to the SKX. Shit, forgot to bring a flashlight. I'll hold this up to the light. So SKX is obviously on the right, and Moonwatch is here on the left. Sorry, Lunar Pilot. Well, I'm gonna have to figure out a different setup here because these loom shots aren't working out too well. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll check in later. Bye.